episodes. Right now we're live on YouTube, baby. Let's do it. Boy, oh boy, we got a lot to get to today. I'm excited. Great day. Have a great day, everybody. Welcome back. Episode 108. So let's go ahead. Let's get things to... Words. Here we go. Let's make sure we're recording. And we are. So, here we go. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back. Episode 108 of Dave's Dugout. We have a lot to get to off the top today. Obviously, the NFL is what we're going to start with because that's what everybody wants to talk about. We got some college football news, big news coming from the conferences as well. Hall of Fame induction ceremony, might as well touch on that. We also have some Premier Lacrosse news, championship coming up soon, and we'll see where I was right, where I was wrong in those semifinal games. But I think the big thing here is obviously all the NFL stuff, and then college football, baseball. We'll go in that order, and we'll take it from there. We'll take it nice and slow. Got some hot takes for you coming in fantasy. I made some bold roster moves in fantasy, and I broke my own rule and joined a second league. So we're going to talk about all of that. But first thing, off the top, baby, we are going to see first if we're still live on YouTube. Looks like we are. We're rolling good. So, man, that was a good intro. It's almost like people pay me to do this. Kind of. Not really yet. We'll get to that. I do have a sponsor shout-out. Hopefully I'll get to it. I think of all these things I want to talk about before I start podcasting, and then, we'll see. I don't have my basketball here to take a shot behind me for people watching on YouTube, but we'll skip that this week. Just got a little coffee today. Still got to go to work, so we're not getting too crazy. All right. First thing we're going to start with. This one might be obvious. Or you might not have any idea what I'm talking about. The kicker for Mercer, Caleb Doden. I hope I'm saying his name right. We got to give a shout out. The race to 69, baby. This kid took the definition of taking one for the team. 7 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Mercer is up 69-0. Nice. Kicking an extra point, right? Shanks it. Completely shanks it. You can tell he did it on purpose. Just misses completely. Don't know if his coach was super pissed. I mean, you're up 69-0, so I guess it's not that big of a deal. But the best part is how you know he did it on purpose is because afterwards on Twitter, he retweeted the video of him doing it and gave the little fist emoji. Go! Caleb Doden from Mercer, the kicker, is the GOAT. The race to 69 can never be any better. Fantastic. I mean, well done. Congratulations, sir. Nice. Very well done. Insert 69 joke there, and that's actually incredible. That's so crazy, and it's weird though. I would see with 1 minute left, but 7 minutes. What if they would have scored again? Then you just missed on purpose. Clearly, he didn't have a streak to break there or anything. He obviously wasn't perfect in his career on kicks or something. Anyway, so thought we'd start with that, and then the other one is Mark Vidal. If you don't know, Baylor Bear champion. You can see the championship gear behind me if you're watching on YouTube. And so he went from being a college NCAA champion with the Baylor Bears to not getting drafted, but getting signed to the Portland Trail Blazers, working out with the team, and then decided to pursue a big dude. I think we all kind of saw this coming a little bit. People told him he could be a tight end. So he's trying the tight end thing, which we've seen people do in the past. Go from college basketball to tight ends in football. And I thought maybe he could make a practice squad. I didn't think he'd do it this quickly. It's literally he's okay, I'm going to play football now. Literally the next day or 2 days later, he's playing for the Seattle Seahawks. It is crazy, that quick turnaround. Practice squad. But still, we'll see what happens. And I don't know. So shout out to him. Those are the top two things off the top I wanted to get to. So two little fun things. I mean, it's all fun, but those are the 69 thing is just absurd, and I had to talk about it. And shouts to Mark Vidal. So do we start with the NFL? We might as well, right? So I wanted to do the episode Thursday, timestamp on the podcast. It is September 10th. 1 o'clock Mountain Time. It's a Friday. I wanted to do this Thursday before the NFL kickoff. But I said, you know what? we can wait. It's a Thursday game. We'll get more into it, and we can dive into the Sunday matchups more if I do it on Friday, and if it's out by Saturday at least, so people can get their little fantasy tips here, and we'll see what happens in that regard. But I'm kind of glad too, because I can do like a reaction now to the Cowboys and Bucks, and tell you what I thought was going to happen and what actually happened are pretty different. I think for most people, I think that was a pretty surprising game. The outcome wasn't surprising, but the closeness and the way we got there was. So if you didn't watch, I don't know what you were doing. Thursday night, NFL kickoff. Cowgirls versus the defending champs. Tom Brady, Mr. Father Time himself, looking same as ever. And, yeah, I mean, the Cowboys hung in there. I think more than most of us thought. So, going into the game, I didn't bet it on purpose because I thought the spread was, what was it, like 7.5 or 8.5, whatever it was, 6.5. I think it was 7.5. Was a little too close for comfort for me. I part of me thought the Bucks were going to blow it away, and part of me thought the Cowboys would keep it close, which is what ended up happening. So I was torn, so didn't touch it. The thing I wish I would have done, I thought about it, but then I got busy. I was at work. Was the second you see all of the announcers and TV hosts, whenever there's a clean sweep, whenever they all pick the same team, immediately live bet, maybe not the team to win, at least the spread to keep it close. Because I swear to God, I don't have stats for this. Every time there's a clean sweep, the other team almost wins or wins. It's crazy. That might not be true, but if I would have done it, I would have won. I literally thought in my head, I was like, I gotta do this. Then I got distracted, didn't do it. If you would have bet the Cowboys 7.5, you would have won. And cause Drew Brees, I think, is the only one. First day on air, and he's 1 for 1 on bold predictions. He's like, I'm gonna take the Bucks to win, like the rest of you. He's like, but the Cowboys are gonna keep it close. And little do we know, one of, if not the best quarterback of all time, was right. So maybe we need to all start listening to Drew Brees in those pregames a little closer, because spot on. So shouts to Drew Brees, one of my, if not my favorite quarterback of all time. We won't even get to that conversation again. That pisses off a lot of people, especially when Brady keeps doing what he's doing. It's not helping my cause. So we're going to avoid that topic for now until we need to rile people up or something. I don't know. So that's one thing about the game. Second thing, please hold while I take a sip of, for those listening to the podcast, kind of take a sip of this coffee. I don't know why my eyes just started watering. It's like the smoke here from the wildfires in California, allergies. I don't know if it's allergy season. I see roses outside my window over here. Does that mean things are blooming? I don't know. I'm all messed up. No, it's not COVID. But I know if whoever's still watching on Instagram, if that's you, Tyler, you every time I cough or sneeze, somebody, even people at work, go, no, I can't choke on water. It's a normal thing people do. So the other thing I wanted to say, I don't really have a hot take on this. I think it's going to be fine. I can laugh about it because I have neither of these people in fantasy. But people, this is more of a question, I guess. Let's phrase it that way. Comment and let me know if you're afraid if you own Zeke, especially if you reached for him, and Mike Evans if you took him in the first round or second. Both or either of them, first or second round for sure. So, are you scared? Are you nervous? I don't think you should be. Maybe you should be a little. It was one day of football though, and the overreaction is crazy. I mean, I woke up today to an article like, is Zeke gonna maybe? I don't know. One day of football. One game. It was one game of football. We had one Thursday game, and Mike Evans and Zeke owners are probably freaking out. I mean, maybe you should be. But coming up, I have a second round pick. I got a hot fantasy advice coming for you here soon. But The next thing, and this might make it sound weird if I'm using my mouse all the time, so I apologize, people on Instagram. The phone audio actually, from what I've listened back, actually sounds pretty good. I'm afraid the computer fan is going to be too loud, but it usually sounds pretty solid. I think the clicking is loud on both. Maybe it might actually be louder with the good microphone and stuff. But what is this link I pulled up? I don't even know what this is. We're gonna X that out. So I just have. What did it refresh on me? I'm just using DraftKings. You could use FanDuel, DraftKings. I go back and forth depending on who has the better promo that week or odds for the game I want. But okay, this would be cool if it, there we go. Now we're loaded. So I just have the spreads pulled up for us, and we'll kind of run through the week 1 matchups, because I know a lot of people. And if you don't bet, and now betting's been becoming more legal in more and more states, if you haven't signed up yet, I mean, I'm not telling you what to do with your money, but I highly recommend. The first time betting promos are good. It's like, even if you want to just do it and then never bet again, I mean, you could honestly, I think sometimes there's rules you have to bet a couple times to be able to withdraw the money again. But if they're giving you free bets, it's like, yeah, you get it back in site credit, so you're going to have to want to use it. So they are always going to get you somehow. But it's a good way, if you're smart about it, you can try to beat the system. It's not always easy, but that's a good way to do it, is with those first time betting promos. You can really get a good deal sometimes. And also referral codes. Hit me up if you want to sign up. I think I can get some free bets too if we give you a referral code. So we'll start here with just a couple of the lines. It's I think week 1 you can get away with maybe winning a little more often with the overs, unders, and the spreads, because Vegas knows more than us, all of us. Obviously, Vegas always wins, but I think week 1 we all don't really know what's going on yet, so it's like a nice week to kind of. I personally like to bet on underdogs already. Anyway, I think if you listen, you know that already. But week 1's, I think, a good time to do that too, specifically. So first game here. These are all 11 a.m. games. That still sounds so weird to me, Mountain Time. We got the 49ers and the Lions. Jared Goff and the Lions. What can they do? +8 at home. Oh, these poor guys. Don't know. Don't know about that. I don't know if the 49ers are going to win by 8, but 49ers straight up for sure. I'm going to go back and forth here on spreads, and because they just make it so hard on purpose. There are a couple, though, that I do have good feelings about. The ones I don't have good feelings about, like that one, I'm just not touching that. Steelers-Bills. Steelers +6.5. The Steelers are a weird team. It's like until Tomlin and Ben and everybody's gone, you almost always want to have a little bit of faith in them. Now, the Bills did look really good last year, but isn't there a part in the back of your head that says, like, it's still the Buffalo Bills, though? Like, are they trustworthy enough to bet on as touchdown favorites now? Maybe. Josh Allen looked pretty damn good last year. But week 1, like I'm saying, especially if you're a Steelers fan and you got a good feeling, you might want to bet Steelers to keep it within a touchdown. That doesn't sound like a terrible idea to me. That's my take on that. Cardinals-Titans. This might be one of the best games of the weekend. And I don't think most people would have said that a couple of years ago. Both of these teams were in the dumps. But Tannehill and Kyler Murray both might be slinging it on Sunday, so we'll see. So I kind of like Arizona +3 if that's what you're getting. A lot of these, probably what I'll end up doing is like a teaser, and you get a couple extra points. So maybe you can get Arizona plus a touchdown. That now we're talking. It's like that's what I like doing. I like taking the underdogs and let's try to keep it close. And if they win, let's win. You know what I mean? So I like to bet on underdogs to have a chance to win. Is that helping anyone at all? Same kind of thing. Colts Seahawks. Do I think the Seahawks are going to win? Yeah. But do I think the Colts could? Yeah. So let's take them +3 +7 would be fantastic. I think the Colts can keep it close. Chargers, Washington, +1.5. Coin flip. Even Vegas doesn't know. Take a pick. Who cares? I'd probably go Chargers, maybe. I don't know. A lot of people are saying bust on Herbert. I don't know. He might have a good year. I don't know. We're gonna have to watch that one and see, and then I'll have an opinion next week for you if I can watch the guy a little bit. I don't know if I'm gonna watch that game though. Chargers Washington, so it really doesn't move the needle for me. Jets Panthers. I'm never betting on the Jets. Why would you? You can bet against the Jets, sure. Let's bet the Panthers -4. That sounds great. That's all we need to say about that. Even though I do have some takes about the Panthers, but maybe we'll get back to it. I don't know if this is fun for everybody, so I'm trying to go fast, and if that makes it, if I'm going too fast, if we want more on each game, we'll figure that out as the season goes. Vikings Bengals. Again, I don't know, man. I don't know if I got trust in Burrow yet. +3 for the Bengals. I might go Vikings. Vikings are like up and down, man. One year they're really good, one year they're really bad. Is this a really good year? I hope so, because I'm hooked on a feeling. It's an inside joke. That's my fantasy team name. I've got hooked on a Thielen in one league, and like I was saying, I broke my rule, and I joined a second league now. And the second team is Inglorious Staffords. I think that's pretty clever. Obviously, Matthew Stafford. I'm proud of that one. So yeah, I don't know. And I already found myself week 1 now. I didn't get CeeDee Lamb in my first league, but I got him in my second. So it's like now I'm cheering for CeeDee Lamb. I just find you root against yourself when you have multiple fantasy teams. So I don't know if I like it again. And it was like a weird, do you just draft all the same people? So if you're good, you win in both? Or what if you're bad, then you lose in both? Do you mix it up? You have totally different team, but then you're really going to be rooting against yourself. So I'm curious, what do you guys do on that too? Do you draft a totally different team in different leagues so you have a more of a chance to win? Or I just saw Matt comment, and Gloria Stafford should pay their league dues. Well, we should decide on the league dues the one day after the draft. And but yes, I'll do that when I'm done here. That's pretty funny. So yeah. So let me know what you people do on that. Vikings -3 is the long story short on that one. Eagles Falcons. Falcons screwed me last year. Wasn't I super hot on the or was that 2 years ago? I was like, Falcons are going to win the division, and then we're just trash. So let's just ride every year. We'll just be hot on the Falcons. Matt Ryan doesn't have Julio this year, but he's got Pitts. Let's go Pitts. I hope. I don't know. I don't trust the Eagles. I don't trust the Eagles as far as I can throw them. I think that division is going to be poo-poo again. Even though the Cowboys look good, so maybe the Cowboys will run away with that one. Jaguars, Texans. Do not have a good feeling about this game. And I kind of have a hot take about this game. But it's controversial. Because I don't trust the rookie quarterback in his first game. I don't trust Trevor Lawrence in this one. He's actually one of my sit people that I wanted to say. I'm trying not to repeat myself because I want to have like fantasy. I have like sits and starts. But it's also against the Texans, who like should be the worst team in the league according to everybody. So it's like if there's one game we're gonna trust a rookie quarterback in his first game, this is like a pretty good opportunity for him. It's like the bar is pretty low. I don't know though. I'm torn because I do have some of the Jacksonville wide receivers in fantasy. And I don't know if I'm going to start him because I just don't. I don't know, man. Trevor, could he be really good in a couple of years? Yeah, I have no doubt about that. If we look in a couple of years and he's like a really great quarterback, no doubt. But I just feel like rookie quarterbacks just struggle in the beginning. It's hard. You can look good in the preseason. In the preseason, you're not playing anybody though. You're playing the guys you were playing against in college. So I'm not. So. That's what I'm talking about with week 1. We gotta watch and see, and then you really We can get our over and under reactions on teams after week 1. Broncos, Giants, Broncos, -3. Take it. Steal. Lock of the week. That and the Rams are the locks of the week. Parlay that. Broncos -3 and Rams -8. I don't even have that pulled up, but I know it's Rams -8, and that's not enough. And I think that's the highest one of the week, isn't it? I think it's the highest one I've said yet. Yeah, 49ers and Lions was the other one that was -8. That could be a lock too, but see, the Lions, I feel like, are one of those teams that can just surprise everybody and then suck for the rest of the year. Yeah, Broncos for sure. They could have the best defense in football, and I think the Broncos are going to be much improved this year. Are they going to beat the Chiefs? No, probably not. But are they going to beat the Giants? Absolutely. Another chip for Brady. Possibly. As much as I hate to say that, they returned all 22 starters. That's insane. That's insane for a Super Bowl team. So, yeah, I mean, I have no proof for a reason on why they would decline. I can't think of a reason to say why the Bucs will be worse this year. Will another team get better than them is the question, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, that's possible. But the Bucs I don't think are going to get worse. Unless injuries. They stayed really healthy last year, and that's usually a team who wins. So maybe that's the argument, is they won't have those 22 starters come Super Bowl, so maybe not. Was that fair? Was that a good answer? I don't know. Browns, Chiefs, -5.5. Yeah, I guess. The Browns are another one, man. They're like a dangerous team. I just don't trust yet, though. Right? I mean, last year they had so many close games. Wasn't it Browns Chiefs last year? It was like the game of the year. So maybe yeah, take the Browns +5.5. If you can get that to 10, I like it a lot better. Because I think the Chiefs could win by a touchdown. But I think the Browns will keep it close. I think they could win. Packers Saints. Packers. I mean, come on. Are we really trusting Jameis Winston? Really? Packers -3. Do we just like putting chips on Aaron Rodgers' shoulder? Why do we do this to this guy? He's good enough. He just won the MVP. Why do we gotta keep doing this to the guy? Him and Brady. It's we don't need to give these guys any more fuel, man. They go to bed just hating the world and waking up wanting to be better. Why do we do this to them? Packers -3. Easy money. Why do we do that? Why do we do that to Brady and Rodgers? The two best quarterbacks ever. It's ridiculous. Dolphins, Patriots. Don't even turn that game on. I have no idea. Some of the Dolphins always beat the Patriots for no reason. Dolphins +3. Let's take that. Let's bet against the Patriots. That's always fun. And then Rams, Bears -8. Like I said, lock of the weekend. We'll get to that. I think that's what I had next. So those are the odds if you're wanting to bet. If betting is legal in your area. I hope that helped you, or at least put it on your radar. Got you thinking. Agree or disagree. Put your money where your mouth is. I'm going to. So we'll see. So speaking of Rams, Bears, that is the next thing I wanted to talk about. Is these next topics are all kind of tied together. So we're going to Rams, Bears here, Sunday Night Football. Glad to see my guys on primetime, week 1. That's what you want. That's why we moved to LA. That hurts to say. I was going to say, SoFi Stadium, looking beautiful. Game's on the road, though. So that doesn't matter. So, what's the first thing I want to say about this? It's all kind of tied together. The Bears. The Bears, man. Who's their starting quarterback? Andy Dalton? We're really trusting Andy Dalton on Sunday Night Football? Is anyone betting on the Bears? Has that line moved at all? Am I the only one who thinks it's going to be a blowout? Andy Dalton, week 1. Okay, yeah. God, this is going to come back to bite me. I really hope I'm not jinxing myself. But I just don't trust the Bears. Apparently, their offensive line isn't very good. Andy Dalton, Justin Fields apparently isn't ready to play quarterback. I think they have Nick Foles still too. Why do they have 3 quarterbacks like that? I don't know. Cornerbacks, 3 of their 4 best cornerbacks are no longer on the team. So they have a bunch of young, I'm going to say bad, no one's bad in the NFL, but 3 young, inexperienced cornerbacks against the Rams. Wide receivers, high-powered offense, and really good defense. That all adds up to what I would believe as a blowout. And one thing I'm going to say is, here's my hot take in fantasy that I want to talk about. So, I was a little high. I wasn't high on Montgomery as my running back. It was just running backs were flying off the table. And in the second round, I was just saying this, I think 15 running backs were taken after 17 picks. And I wasn't going to pick again until like 30 or 28, however that adds up. So it's not that I reached for him. It's just that the best available at where I was. Bold move here. Never done something like this before. I am sitting my second round pick and starting someone I just picked up on the waivers last night instead. Sitting David Montgomery. I have stats to back it up. Do I think he's going to be fine all year long? Yes. Week 1, though, against the Rams, terrible matchup. Good defense. I'm not just saying that because I'm a Rams fan. Last time they played, Montgomery had 69 yards. Nice. But not good. 69 yards, no touchdowns. That's not going to swing, man. And if I had advice for you, this is the best advice I could give you. If you could take one thing away from this, put a piece of tape. If you use ESPN, probably, I don't know if the other ones are better, but I know in ESPN, put a piece of tape on your computer screen over the ESPN projections. Just don't look at them. Don't look at them all year long. Because it's nonsense. Like the Zeke and Mike Evans thing. Zeke and Mike Evans were projected, 30 points, I think? Or 20 each? And they wound up at 7 combined, Mike Evans and Zeke, on Thursday Night Football. Opening NFL kickoff, what do you want to call it? And then, who was it? It was like Cooper and all these other guys were projected like 7 points total and got like 50. So, that's fantasy for you. I'm going out on a limb here. I'm sitting David Montgomery, my second round pick, and I'm starting. Here's the hot take for you, and go pick him up in your leagues if you're listening, because he's only rostered in 3% of leagues, and you're hearing this first, week 1, baby. I'm not saying every week. Not every week. He's not going to do this every week. I might even drop him after week 1. Deshaun Jackson. I'm telling you, in the preseason videos I've been seeing on the Rams Twitter's accounts and Instagram accounts, and Stafford, he's blowing by people, and Stafford's deep bombs to this guy. I'm telling you. And with these inexperienced cornerbacks in Chicago, I've got a vision, and I'm gonna will it to happen. Please. I hope this happens because I'm putting a lot on the line here. I think Deshaun's gonna get a 50-yard plus touchdown, 40-yard, 30-yard. It's gonna be a runaway, 70-yard. Let's hope. I think he's gonna burn one of these young cornerbacks, and Deshaun Jackson's gonna be the national spotlight once again for at least a week. So that's what we got. And at least, a 70-yard touchdown, even if that's the only catch of the night, that's good for me. It's going to be 10 points, easy money, and I think it's going to be more than Montgomery. So we'll see if I'm right. This could come back to bite me bad. But you know what? You got to go out on a limb sometimes. And it's a bold strategy, Con. We'll see if it pays off. I think that those are my takes. Let me know if I'm crazy. I think I might be, but that's fine. We knew that already. Here's another hot take for you. You want an MVP sleeper? Put your money on it. Plus like 3,000. Matthew Stafford. Why not? Do I think he's going to do it? Probably not. I think he's got a hell of a year. That's a sleeper pick for you. Am I biased? Maybe. got to the Super Bowl. Jared Goff. Most people think he sucks. I always thought he wasn't bad. So we'll see. Next one, stardom, sit-em. Sit. David Montgomery. Obviously. Low on him week 1. He'll be fine though. He'll be good. Sitting, Jameis Winston, Trevor Lawrence. Mentioned both of them earlier when I was talking about the betting odds, so no surprise there. Jameis Winston, I mean, until he doesn't throw 3 picks in a game, not trusting him. And like I said, Lawrence, rookie, come on, first game. High on Ryan Tannehill. I think that Ryan Tannehill, Kyler Murray game is going to be fun. I think Tannehill's going to get a lot of points. Kyler Murray might get a lot of points. Arizona running backs, Arizona wide receivers. That might be a good game. High scoring. Let's hope so. And obviously Stafford against those and anyone on the Rams offense, essentially. Woods, Kupp. I'm hoping for Kupp and Deshaun Jackson. So go pick up Deshaun Jackson. Hope you drafted Kupp. Higbee's a sleeper. He's going to be good now. He's not splitting time. So, yeah, those are the stardoms and situms. And how long have we been going for? I feel like a while. 24 minutes? That's not too bad. All right, so that's the NFL. And we'll go over to college football. And, I didn't pull up the team names before I started, but I just thought this was an interesting Week 1 article I read. I don't remember the specific upsets off the top of my head. I'm not going to look them up. But it was just interesting that I think there were 4 FCS teams that beat FBS teams, which is, I don't know if it said it was more than normal, but it's more than normal Week 1, but it's more than normal in your average week. And I guess the reasoning is, they were saying one reason could be that FCS schools do have athletes that could play for these big D1 teams, but just not as many. So in the later weeks, people get hurt, and the depth just isn't there in these FCS teams. So they actually stand a better chance of winning against the bigger schools in Week 1 and Week 2 in the early weeks than they do, say, if they had a matchup in 8 or 9. Which I wonder now, this actually just popped into my head while I'm thinking about it. Alabama always plays these bad teams in the middle of the year, when I always wonder why other teams always play like it seems like Week 1, 2, 3, you get the non-conference bad games out of the way. Alabama is sneaky, man. That's some Nick Saban GOAT shit right there. That is sneaky. You gotta watch them, man. You gotta watch Saban and Belichick. They're sneaky. Oh. But yeah, no, I just thought that was really interesting and probably a good point, because you do have those athletes on those FCS teams, but you just don't have that depth to compete all year long, obviously. And the same thing, I think that always goes with just games in general. They're usually close in the first couple quarters, and then the fourth quarter, usually, and even college basketball and college football, the better team pulls away at the end because you have the depth and just seems to be how that goes. I just thought that was interesting and noteworthy. So that's my Week 1 interesting stat of the week. I'm not going to do that every week, but sponsor my interesting stat of the week, and I'll come up with one. The big news, I think, this actually just happened today. So I'm glad I didn't do this yesterday, because it was just hearsay yesterday. I mean, it was one of those, like, it's going to happen, but it hasn't officially happened yet. Now, it's kind of official. It still isn't official, but they've been offered. The Big 12 is finally going to have 12 teams again. As we know, Texas and Oklahoma leaving as late as 2025. Could be earlier if they want to pay some fines and however that's going to unfold. And now BYU could join as early as 2022, I think I saw, and the rest would be 2023. So we actually could have a weird 2 years there where we have 14 teams in the Big 12 if Texas and OU don't leave earlier. But my overarching thing here is I think the Big 12 did just about as good as they could have with the cards that were dealt. So the 4 teams here that are going to be joining the Big 12 are going to be Cincinnati, BYU, Houston, and UCF. And I'm actually more excited about this now that I've researched more about all of these schools, past and present. I already obviously had my present, not biases, observations. Neither of those are the words I'm looking for. But my thoughts on what the schools have done in the past 10 years and their history. And the one that I actually was going to say I would leave out was going to be Cincinnati, and I personally wanted Memphis to join. Now, the argument is Memphis is much worse at football in history. The last couple of years they've been better at football. But I think currently they're just better at basketball. And the Big 12 is the best basketball conference in the country. And here's my hot take. I think the Big 12 is still going to be the best basketball conference in the country with these 4 teams. Absolutely. And we'll get to a little more here in a second. I want to dive into this a little. The thing I didn't realize is Cincinnati, according to Matt Norlander, is one of the top 10 college basketball programs in history. I didn't realize they had so many national championships. Not so many, but a few, and quite a crazy Final Four runs there. So Cincinnati, as a history, very good at college basketball. These last couple years with new coaches hasn't been the same. BYU, their future looks good as long as Mark Pope's there in basketball. Obviously, too, I go to all these things as basketball. The things that mattered were football and market size of these TV markets, and I'll get to that. Because the Big 12 is a football conference. It's the best basketball conference in the country, but it's a football conference. Houston, basketball-wise, 80s was fantastic. One of the best programs in the country. Then they fell off. Like, Houston was non-existent. But now they have, like, billionaires backing them. I forget his name. But I heard that Houston, they just are just dumping a bunch of money in the athletic programs. The football team's been good. And Houston is the 4th biggest city in America. And maybe one of the most athletic cities in America. I mean, you can't argue that their football and basketball talent is absurd. So if they can start getting Houston kids to stay in Houston and go to Houston and recruit in Houston, now that they're in the Big 12, we might look up here in a couple of years and Houston's going to be the real deal. I would not be surprised at all in basketball and football. Basketball, they just made a Final Four run. And maybe that's a Calvin Sampson thing. Maybe it's just like as long as they have him, they'll be good. But I'm pretty sure his son's going to take the ropes there in basketball after him. So maybe there'll be continued success. And then football and basketball. Basketball, you can't argue. Houston has been better than Texas in the last few years. Now, will Texas basketball be better than Houston in the years to come? Maybe. Probably in the SEC. I think Texas will be good at basketball in the SEC. They're not going to be good at football in the SEC. And then UCF. I did not realize how big of a school UCF is. University of Central Florida. In Orlando. Talking about top 10 TV market. Top 15. Top 20. I'm pretty sure it's top 15. And a huge student enrollment. I had no idea. So we lose Texas, which is like 60,000 kids. But the Big 12 gets UCF. There's like 50,000 kids enrolled in UCF. So you almost made that up. And then when you're talking about TV markets, Houston, number 4. I mean, Houston's a huge TV market. Now, is Houston, the school doesn't have as big of a following, obviously, as Oklahoma and Texas. We're talking about the 2 biggest football programs in the country outside of like a couple SEC schools. And maybe, USC, Oregon. I mean, like, Texas and Oklahoma are up there. Top 5, top 3. But when it comes to TV markets, Houston is a huge audience you're bringing in there. I mean, it goes New York, LA, Chicago, Houston. So, big TV market. BYU, Salt Lake City, top 15, top 20 TV market. And then Cincinnati, like I said, just their football and basketball programs have just a big history. And Cincinnati's not a small market either. And you're bringing in a new state. You're bringing in 3 new states to the Big 12. Florida, Utah, and Ohio. And then obviously Houston. So I think this is I'm not as upset as I was a couple weeks ago. I think they're in a good spot. And all of these teams have competed in football. And they're only going to do better now that they're in the Big 12. I mean, if you think these teams were okay, I mean, all of them have finished in the top 15 in the final AP poll here in the last couple years. So we're already talking about some of the best programs, and they were in the AAC, and they were already good. I mean, UCF We're national champions. They were, though. I mean, come on. We all wrote, come on. I was riding that train. So now the Big 12 has national champions. I don't know, man. It's crazy. I think I got to everything I wanted to get to there. We can talk about it more as it becomes more fluid and when we know dates and when it's going to happen. And I don't know, man. It could. I think the winner of this new Big 12 here in a couple of years is going to have just as good of a shot as Texas and Oklahoma in the SEC. I mean, whoever comes out of this Big 12 in a couple of years, an improved Big 12, maybe. Here's my take. Here's what I'm trying to say. Do I think they're going to be better than Texas and Oklahoma? I don't know. But the winner of the Big 12 is going to have just as good of a shot to beat Alabama as a 3 or 4 loss Texas and OU team in the SEC now. Would you rather be 12-1, 8-1, whatever the record is, coming out of the Big 12 championship with maybe a good seed? Or would you rather have a couple losses in the SEC? Either way, nobody's beating Alabama most of the time, right? I mean, isn't that where we're at? So that's my take, is I think that this Big 12, whoever the champion is going to be, Iowa State, Baylor, TCU's been good in the last few years, Houston, UCF, if they can recruit even better. I mean, they were already national champions. BYU is a decent program. I'm like forgetting about, I mean, Oklahoma State has been fine. Like, the winner of that, they're not going to beat Alabama in the championship. They have just as good a chance as anybody else. Because I don't think anybody can. So that's my take on that. And then AAC fans, you're getting screwed. I feel bad for them. I actually do. And this is funny that the national headline, it was like, oh, the Big 12's getting screwed. And I feel like we're not hearing that as much. Maybe because it's a smaller conference, I guess. But I do feel like it's a little different, though. But I do feel your pain. It's like the Big 12 fans are like, oh, I can't believe you're stealing them. So we went and stole someone else's teams. It sucks. It's like, so the Big 12 got their 2 big names taken, so we took the 4 biggest names, 3 out of the AAC. So, but it's almost like it's like Texas and Oklahoma just threw up middle fingers and said, bye. The Big 12 was like, well, now we have to do something. It's not like the Big 12 was just like, we want 12 teams again, we're going to purge your conference of your best teams. So it is a little different, but I do feel your pain. But I do hope for the best on that group of 5 conferences. I saw some things that there might be some realignment now there, and I hope the best for those guys. So that's my take on that. Then we got the MLB, man. The Hall of Fame induction was cool. We got 2 guys that headlined it. Derek Jeter, 1 vote away from being the next unanimous inductee into the Hall of Fame. Just missed it and shouted out the 1 voter not shouted out, whatever, mentioned, threw shade at the 1 voter who didn't vote for him. But I mean, come on. Still, I mean, what? So now he's like tied for the highest percentage, second highest percentage of. But so no, Mariano Rivera still the only unanimous induction in the Hall of Fame, and Jeter right behind him. Very cool. I mean, Jeter's stats, I like, even when I did it on the news, I was like, you can't even list this guy's stats. It's just insane. 5-time world champion, 14-time All-Star, 15-time All-Star. It's just like, God, Golden Globes and Rookie of the Year and the World Series MVP. It's just like, it's like you could just name just every award. It's like, yeah, he got that one, he got that one. So, obvious Hall of Famer. Number 2. Now batting for the New York Yankees. Number 2. Derek Jeter, number 2. And then Larry Walker, man, stole the show, honestly. Larry Walker is Jeter's speech wasn't very good, honestly, but he was never, he was always just like, Mr. Do Right, don't talk to the press, or say what you need, smile, wave at the camera. and play baseball. And he kind of did that again. Larry Walker, though, character. Absolute character. And obviously, I think I was just too young to recognize how funny this guy was when he was in his prime playing. 1997 was the year when he was the NL MVP, led the league in home runs that year, and was just an absolute character. Power hitter, really fast. Just one of the, obviously, if he's in the Hall of Fame, one of the best players to ever play baseball. And his character, his funniness makes him even better. His speech was hilarious. He told a story about like sliding back into first, and they were calling him out. He's like, no, I beat the ball. And I'm butchering this story, but it's because he got across from third through the grass and slid back. This is like T-ball or Little League, I don't know what it was. And they're like, no, man, you have to touch second. He's like, well, I have to touch second. I already did once. So he's like to all those kids, he's like, keep trying, even if you don't know the rules. He's like, because one day, like hard work, you can get there. Hilarious, dude. SpongeBob pin on his lapel jacket, like just an absolute character. From some of the stuff I watched of him, I think it was when he first started playing for the Rockies. They were like, yeah, the turf's heated, and he's like, what? They're like, yeah. He's like, he touched it. He's like, oh, that's nice. And he like laid down like a model, and he was like laying there, and this is not it's just a character. Man, I started doing like Snow Angel. I don't know what he was like. Just a funny dude. They said he never got too high, always was just like really calm, and that's why he was so good in like high pressure situations. So, shout out to Larry Walker and Derek Jeter, and the two guys who aren't getting mentioned because those, talking about one of the best ever in Derek Jeter, and Larry Walker is such a character. Ted Simmons from the Cardinals, and then Marvin Miller just kind of got swept under there, but that was the Hall of Fame class of 2020. Got pushed back because of the pandemic, but now we finally induct them into the Hall of Fame. And then two last things. Got to talk about the Premier Lacrosse League, and I'm wearing the shirt, obviously, because we only got a little bit of time left. So this is like the last chance to talk about them. We got the championship coming up here, and the 19th. So I wanted to double check that before. I hesitated on saying this is the last week. Sunday, September 19th on NBC, baby, is going to be that final championship game. Which is a little weird. I think they should have done it before NFL started, but we'll let them. They know better than me. I think that would be a good way, though. It's like PLL championship and then football season. Let's move that up a week next time, guys. If you want to take my advice, anybody, Paul Rebel? Okay. But so like I said, I kind of got a lot of the picks wrong in the quarterfinals of the playoffs for the PLL. I admit when I'm wrong. So the semifinals, I was like, let's go chalk, because I went upsets, and I was 1 for 1. There was one upset and one chalk. No, there were 2 upsets. Because Water Dogs were the 1 seed, and Chaos beat Atlas. So I was wrong, actually, for both. Wow. Okay. Got to redo my take here. Atlas was 2 and Water Dogs were 1. Whip Snakes were 4 or 5, and Chaos was the 6th seed. Wow. So our championship game has like the 5 versus 6 or 4 versus 6. That's insane. So the Whip Snakes beat the Water Dogs. Whip Snakes now going for the 3-peat. Does not happen very often in professional sports. I'm kind of still rooting against it. Do I think it's cool? It's a good story in a way, but I also think it hurts in a way. It's like your first 3 years of the league. I don't know if you want the same team winning every time. So I'm torn on that. I want the Chaos to win. And so, spoiler, Chaos beat the Atlas. The crazy part is Chaos was down 5-8 at halftime. 5-8. And the final score ended up being 15-9. So the Atlas only got 1 goal in the second half, and Chaos got 10. So absolute turnaround there for Chaos to get into the championship game. Chouse, as we call them. And the Whip Snakes beat the Water Dogs. They pretty much had a 2-goal lead. It seemed like almost the entire game. So the defending back-to-back champions take down the number 1 seed, 14-10. And we got to roll Chaos, man. I think they're plus 140 just to prevent the 3-peat. In a couple years, if the Whip Snakes would have wanted to get a 3-peat, yeah, sure. But I'm just not loving it here for the first 3 years of the season, and we'll keep that short and sweet. And last two things: the PGA, Patty Ice, new nickname, living up to it. Got a cool, get it, Patty Ice, cool, a cool $15 million for winning the FedEx Championship. Whew. That's insane. And what else do you have to say about that? And I don't like to end on sad notes, but one day before the 20th anniversary of 9/11, I got to mention it. Especially as I wear New York PLL double there. As I wear the shirt. My take on there's no take. I just can't believe it's been 20 years. That's insane to me. I mean, so what, I was 7 years old, almost 8 when it happened. That's it. That's all I got to say is thoughts and prayers go to all those families still affected 20 years later. And I just can't believe those people have been out with people for 20 years. So that's what we'll end on. I hate ending on something like that, but one day before, I'm going to miss it by the time next week comes along when we do the podcast. So, the red bandana story I always like telling, and the PLL did a cool thing with red bandanas for their semifinals. So, yeah, I mean, that's it. That's an episode. I mean, we started super high energy, and we're coming down here as we're going to coast into the end of episode 108. But if you guys learned anything, laughed, liked something, please like, share, subscribe, share it with your friends. That's how we spread this and grow the viewing. So, guys, even if you tuned in just for a few minutes on the live stream, or if you're listening to the podcast, I really do appreciate it. And we'll see you next time. All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in live on Instagram. And those on YouTube, thank you for sticking in there with me for the last few minutes. But we'll see you next time.